Enjoy the following preview of Talking Geopolitics. For the full episode and much more, go to geopoliticalfutures.com/podcast and click subscribe.
I want to talk very briefly about Vietnam, because half of the point, as you've said before on a number of occasions, half the point of the US sticking with Vietnam was to prove America's dependability as an ally. And putting to one side what Trump is trying to do here, as you say. Now, after what happened in Afghanistan and then whatever might happen here, is the US at risk of becoming an unreliable ally, not just in Europe, but to countries like Australia, Taiwan?
The United States entered Vietnam because it was a communist country. The Cold War was not just a confrontation between Russia and the West. It was between communism and capitalism, if you will. Russia was maneuvering all over the world to stage communist revolutions. Vietnam was a communist country. The war in Vietnam saw Southeast Asia as a whole turning communist. So there was another dimension to the Cold War, the ideological one. We went into Vietnam just as the Russians did into Ukraine, thinking it'd be a cakewalk. We lost 50,000 people. It was a mistake militarily, but it flowed out of the basic strategy, which was to educate Russia with communism, and we were fighting the communists. So from that point of view, it is understandable why we went into Vietnam. What was not understandable was the military's inability to grasp the nature of the enemy, his strength and his capability, and his willing to fight. So there's a parallel between Vietnam and Ukraine. At that point, but the United States could recover. It took several years to bring domestic contention to a close, some time to rebuild confidence in itself, and so on. There's a lag time after it. The Russians have ended that, are trying to end the war in Vietnam, if you will. But then they're going to have a period, they're going to have reconciliation. Our defeat in Vietnam did not weaken us to the extent a defeat in Ukraine weakens Russia, because our military power remained intact in Europe and so on. But again, bear in mind that in the war in Vietnam, the Europeans were irrelevant. We did not consider this important. We had to demonstrate that the Russians could not, and failed to demonstrate, could not be spreading communism. Now at this point, the ideological dimension is gone, and it's now the purely geopolitical.